Yo, YouTube exclusive coming right at you. Let's talk CLG's 2020 lineup. So, CLG's 2020 lineup is Ruin up in the top lane, Wiggily in the jungle, Crown from Immortals in the mid lane, and Stickface Smoothie in the bot lane, with Smoothie joining the team from TSM, getting traded for Biofrost. So yeah, first up, we have to talk about their biggest acquisition of 2020, Crown. Crown was such a hot free agent. He was wanted by so many teams, EG, Dignitas, CLG, and in my opinion, he was probably the most valuable free agent that was available this year in North America. All the big junglers got all the talk in Spenskeren and Xmithy due to them being like really big free agents, but I do think Crown was a more valuable free agent. It's only because most of the top teams already had good mids they were happy with, like TSM, Bjergsen, C9 with Niski, Team Liquid with Jensen, that Crown wasn't like the talk of the town. But when a mid free agent like Crown is available, my god, so many teams want him, and he had so many good options, and I was quite surprised that he ended up on CLG and not a team like EG, because they had really good pieces like Spenskeren and Zazel around them, and also the money. So let's talk a little bit more about Crown. He's a monster player, one of the strongest in North America in terms of mechanic and in terms of what he's been able to achieve. He has a preference for control mages, and I will say his champion pool was a little bit of a problem for Immortals last year, or Optic, whatever you want to call them. He had limited amount of games on champions like Irelia and Akali, and communication. That is a huge one, especially as mid lane. You need to communicate well with your jungle, and you also need to know how you want to play around the map, and letting your team know and being able to work with the jungle and support is really, really important. So his synergy with Wiggily is going to be crucial. From what I understand, both players really respect each other and wanted to play with each other. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this pairing. And speaking of Wiggily, let's talk about him. He was a promising rookie from C9 Academy. He had a pretty bad spring split, and he even got benched for Moon for a bit. But I think a lot of that was because of Darshan. Darshan wanted to counterpick, Darshan wanted a lot of resource in top lane in terms of jungle, so Wiggily really didn't have his own voice. So he had a huge upsurge in summer. He was one of CLG's best player. Here's a clip of him 1v2ing TSM's mid and jungle, Bjergsen included.
Let's take another look at this man's plays. Well, we say you can 1v1 solo laners, Captain Flowers, and he does it with the Kennen ultimate. Gets extremely low there, kind of on the knife's edge, but you want to use that heal very low. Acadian then goes in to try and answer. He lands the shield off of the second half of the chains there. You buy enough time for your Kingslayer to come back up. Huge burst healing. That means Jarvan's got nothing left in the tank, and he was able to use another charge of the challenging smite.
Yeah, very impressive. People were talking about him as an MVP candidate. But when it came to playoff, he kind of disappeared. He was really inactive, didn't make a lot of plays, and yeah, he just kind of sucked. So this year, with a brand new mid and Crown, who's a little bit more flexible than Power of Evil, and in my opinion, just a straight up better player, I want to see more out of this guy. Wiggily is the ideal NA rookie. He has such a good mindset. He has a grind for the game, and he also just doesn't want to be bossed around, and he wants to have his own voice and be his own person, and that's so important for a jungler and a rookie. I have a funny story about the Wiggily recommendation. So after he got kicked from Cloud9, he was actually good friends with one of the coaches that was also living with me back in my old apartment. And he came over and we got to talk a little bit, and I really pushed him on, like, it's okay to be toxic to a certain degree and know what you want, but you also have to know what kind of effect it has on your teammates, and you also have to be willing to change, and you just can't blame other people for all your problems, because that's kind of the mindset that a lot of the toxic NA rookies have. And Wiggily really had his head on straight, so I ended up recommending him to two teams. None of them ended up picking him up, and he ended up going to CLG. And this year, when Wiggily had a really good form in summer, both those teams came back to me and told me, yeah, they were wrong. They should have taken my recommendation for Wiggily. So yeah, it's a feel-good story, and I get to brag a little. Now let's go to Ruin. Thoughts on Ruin differ a lot. I personally don't think he's that good, but Double S says otherwise.
Time to abandon ship and move to a new
I
team.
actually have something good news about CLG. I totally forgot about this. When we scrimmed them last year, Ruin was like, he was like smurfing on us so hard. So like, he's the top laner. He's their new top laner, obviously. I don't know.
Thanks for letting everyone know.
Been here for a fucking year.
Yeah, he's
Thanks
been
for
here
the
for a whole
update.
My bad. But like, okay, so we scrimmed them, right? And like, Power of Evil, the joke was that Power of Evil was the worst mid laner on the team, because like when Ruin went mid, Jensen couldn't play the game. He was just dead. And like, and then Power People would just be turbo feeding top. So like no matter what lane Power People was in, he would win. No matter what lane Ruin was in, he would win. So I think they have a gem top lane. It's like for sure that I think he might be their best player.
So he got voted third team All-Pro in summer, and like Mark, I don't think he was very good. Weldon defended the hell out of him, saying the pros voted him there, the coaches voted him there. If you play versus him, you'll know. Like, he got all these ganks because it looked like he fucked all the top laners' girlfriend or something. Like, but he got ganked because he played up and he wasn't very respectful. I just don't think he was that good. I think he was on a team with pretty decent players all around. He's a carry player that does a lot of damage, and he just wasn't very clutch in playoffs either. His Akali play was so meh, and that was a huge problem for CLG. Pyre Beeble didn't play Akali. Ruin wasn't the best Akali in the world. So yeah, I think a lot of him looking good has to do with what Darshan was before, being a giant black hole of pressure, soaking in all the resource, and they just replaced a terrible player with a good player, so he looks so much better. And I don't even think he would have had a spot if Flame took the CLG offer in spring. So yeah, this year is going to be giga important for him. He needs to show up. CLG, this roster is like a contender roster, and Ruin is an import. There's additional pressure on you when you're an import to perform and carry the team, because you're not just competing with NA players, you're competing with players all over the world, so you got to be good. Now, for bot lane, we have Stixay and Smoothie. Let's hear what Doublelift had to say about both. Man, thank you so much, Double, for all the free content.
So do you feel like Smoothie can? You said there's no question who's better. You don't feel like Smoothie's going to be able to
No.
bring CLG to the heights they were able to before?
Smitty is a great player, it just doesn't have good mechanics. Like, I don't know, actually,
Who's worth
I'm
saving?
not sure
on
what I
that
would do.
team?
Who's worth saving? Stixay. He's good.
So, in my humble opinion, Stixay was the second best AD carry after Doublelift, but it doesn't mean much. Everyone was bad. Bang, who was supposed to be amazing, was kind of bad. Zen, who was supposed to be amazing, was kind of bad. There just wasn't good AD carries in NA after Doublelift. So, yes, Stixay was the second best, but it doesn't mean that much. Luckily for him, Kabe will be the only new addition to LCS that might be better than him. And I think Stixay's performance will depend heavily on his synergy with his new support, Smoothie.
Hey guys, I'm Andy Smoothie Ta, and I'm the new support for CLG.
So for Smoothie, it's someone I worked personally with, and I only have good things to say. He's extremely hardworking, he's a great teammate, and he has excellent communication. But when I remove my bias a little bit, and when I talk to other coaches, and when I talk to other players, there are some weaknesses. Smoothie doesn't have the best mechanics, especially on range champions, and he has a tendency to kind of override comps and just talk so much. I'm surprised that CLG went with this trade, because I think CLG lost out Biofrost for Smoothie, but it seems like Biofrost wanted out.
It just depends also, like, because like I'm not saying this because like I think people are gonna misinterpret as like I was talking to him and he like said he was like super demotivated or anything, but I could imagine being in his position. I would not be super motivated playing on CLG. You just came off being on TSM, you don't know anything except for success and huge fan bases and winning and playing with me, and like, no, I'm just kidding. But like, you know how it is. It's a huge difference, right? When you switch from like a good team to a kind of whatever team. I can very much imagine like maybe he didn't. I'm not saying he did, but maybe he didn't put his like absolute best effort in.
And I think like CLG's rationale is they can get someone with better synergy with Stixay, since Stixay and Bio didn't have the best synergy, and they probably just didn't want to hold on to a player that didn't want to be on the team. Overall, the players on the team are promising, and CLG is in a position to contend and make Worlds next year. Their map balance is really good. I don't think there's a real weak link on the team, and if I had to pick one, it would be like Ruin. But they also don't have any standout players outside of Crown. Everyone is good, but not great, so let's see how they develop and mesh as a team. And before I finish off, I will actually mention their coach. So they picked up Song.
Hi guys, my name is Song. I'm a new head coach for the CLG.
I was with Song all the way back in Najin. My god, this was in my like early 20s. He's someone that's hyper intelligent about the game and very dedicated. Like, he just doesn't have a social life. Like, he loves video games and he loves being good at video games. And a really positive aspect to him is he loves being in California and wants to learn English, and it really shows with how much English he's always trying to speak. I don't think he's really found true success as a coach in North America outside of that one run he had with Immortals, and I think it has to do with people skills. It's different skill set being smart about the game and being a leader, especially for like young foreigners that you don't really connect with, and yeah, that's been a problem for Song. So I'm very curious how he'll do. I think Weldon and the rest of CLG's coaching staff mesh really well with him in terms of covering for each other's weakness. So yeah, we'll see. I really liked Irene for CLG, so it was kind of sad to see him go, but hopefully this addition of Song meshing with new coaching staff can make sure CLG has a strong support staff behind the great players they got. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll do a rundown of every single LCS roster once we know them all, but don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. It really truly does help, and show this video to all your friends. Comment down below, it helps with the algorithm. One last thing, I'm not crazy, I'm just Loco. Later, boys.